Is that Hero that I see off in the horizon? I think it is. Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more Oz content. There's a lot unchained in this event. Yeah, you have actually Evil Twin Unchained. Now that's a version of the deck that I didn't think that I would see actually performing out here in quite some time. I like the idea behind it, at least the way it seems, because, you know, all the little fiend logging, blah, blah. You already know what you're doing with that. Now, I also had Pure Unchained getting 5th place, so not all that surprised. But the thing that I'm most shocked about this entire Top Cut is Hero making 2nd place. Now, whatever version of this deck ends up typically showing up, it's usually got to do with Dark Law kind of carrying it on its back at this point in time. And I want to try to say that, you know, maybe Hero can actually do other things, but it's usually just Dark Law and friends kind of tearing through, and usually a side splash of maybe Plasma kind of doing its thing. So that's a pretty big thing to kind of mention here. I also see that we had Brave Sprite as well, which is actually kind of a nice little change of pace as well. Actually seeing Sprite kind of coming up out of the jaws of the bottom of the meta to perform. Very, very nice. Now, of course, you have more of your standard competitors. I mean, I see we have Rescue Ace, we have Chimera, we have Branded. Okay, I mean, and then of course we have a Trap Tricks duelist down here, kind of pulling itself out of the meta. And I will say it's also been very nice to see Trap Tricks kind of coming back out of the bottom of the meta as well. You know, obviously a case tournament is a little bit more local organized, so you can see it perform a little bit better, but I still think you can top 32 a regional very, very easily with Trap Tricks, and I think that's a pretty good thing, considering how the meta is actually going. So, let's pass on over to those deck lists. Winning our event here is none other than the power of Evil Twins with Unchained cards, and I will say that the first thing I care about here is finally we can cut that atrocious DDD package out of the deck and try something a little bit different. You know, it's the chance to try out different things and see what builds actually can shine. Also, I mean, it's what, like an 8-card package in the main deck for the Live Twin stuff, 6 monsters and 2 of the spells, and then the rest you build around the DDD stuff and you're kind of good to go, which I like that a lot. That really does say something about it. And of course, because we're actually playing the Unchained stuff, we can get kind of cute and we can actually play Ultimate Slayer in the deck, because, you know, dropping the Evil Twin Link 4 kind of opens up some interesting doors to some of the other ideas and things that you can kind of see out here. And of course, I see Anti-Spell Fragrance. It's going to be a good time, of course. Next up here, we have our Hero variant, and straight off the bat, our Dark Angel is down in the side deck. One of the biggest innovations that Hero has had in the deck for so long, and actually getting punted out of the deck because of the format. I kind of agree with that, honestly. Dark Angel is a good card, but in the current meta, it doesn't really feel like it does all that much. You know what I mean? It's, I don't know. It's, you definitely match dependent on if it's actually going to matter. Double Polymerization's a little bit of a change of pace too. Double copies of D-Force for our 1 Plasma. I've seen some builds that have been trying out 3. Don't try to force too many into the deck, because you're going to run into a lot of bricking, and that's not exactly. Hero's already got about 9,000 bricks. They're already playing Neos and stuff. You don't want to inconvenience yourself any more than you really need to for the downside of the deck. Next up here, we have Sprite Brave. So this is where we're basically going to be using the Brave package to set up monsters on the field, / typically for the Negate package. I don't even, where's our good cards? Are we just playing the Water Enchantress to set up? There's no Griffin Rider in the main deck here. I guess maybe they forgot to have Griffin Rider, or they're just using it to search the Water Enchantress and special summon it, but this list has no Griffin Rider. Okay, well they're not even citing it. Huh. Maybe an error on the deck list, or maybe it's all just stepping stones to make SP Little Knights and things. I don't know, but that's kind of interesting for consideration. Outside of that, I mean, we are playing a mini Magician Souls package in the deck that gives you the ability to kind of toggle through and get some free draw power. Turning your Faithful and the Draco back into a draw 2 is also going to be extremely good. Next up is Rescue Ace. Wee woo, wee woo. We are playing the Diabell Star package, as you should be. If you're trying this deck out without the Diabell Star package, man, you are asking for a bad time. One of the other things I see about this list that sticks out to me immediately is those enemy controllers. We have seen a lot of enemy controllers starting to pop up in a lot of different places this format, and I love it, alright? Also, being able to enemy controller an opponent's higher link monster to step on into your firewall play actually is going to be pretty insane. Don't underestimate how stupid good that can be. Also, side decking, we have Mind Control and Change of Heart down there. So you'll be able to kind of control anything. And, of course, Evenlies. And they're actually boarding in Solemn Judgments. That's actually going to be a pretty good game ender there. Not too bad. This list has got a lot stronger of a back for control. And I actually think that's something that this deck did need. Next up here, we have our 5th place Unchained variant. Now, this is where we go back in our time machine. We end up back at the first iteration of the deck, and you do see the DDD package. You're not going to not see the DDD package being bound to this deck, all right? Like, it is the thing that typically keeps the deck consistent. It does end up for the multiple material Zeus play, and it's very, very standard at this point in time, all right? You're not going to really get a lot more change pushing for it. And, of course, Mistaken Arrest has kind of ended up as, like, the staple side deck card for this deck, all right? Like, is as consistent is. But like I said, I believe now that we have 2 versions of the deck that have broken the mold out here for what's to be seen. But honestly, if you want something consistent for a net deck, this is it right here. This is the best version. Well, it's the most consistent version, actually. So, all right, next up here, we have Chimera branded. Now, I see that we are playing the new Illusion monster up there next to our Dark Magician. Finally, the one of gets the chance to see some play. To be fair, I have not seen a lot of Illusion good stuff pile recently. It feels like the deck is kind of taking a little bit more of a back seat, and there's nothing wrong with that, all right? It's just the meta has to kind of figure out, or like this deck kind of has to adapt. Like, the random discard ping off of that Chimera doesn't really tend to feel like it gets as much value. It's like, oh boy, you shaved off 1 resource. Now I'm going to go ahead and blow you out with the other 5 that I have, you know? It's just, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has too many broken good cards to kind of, you know, narrow down on this deck. So something to consider at the end of this is the deck is evolving. It's doing fantastic at that, but it's nothing really strong enough to hold on. Next up is our Labyrinth list. I see Destructive Darumaka. I'm not going to lie. I've actually really enjoyed seeing these builds, playing Destructive, the Ice Dragon Spirits, and we're starting to get into the more niche side of things out here, and it's been working out pretty well. Now, do keep in mind this build is forced to play Pot of Extravagance, which means your extra deck is going to be expensive. You value that draw 2, right? Well, that draw 2 means you're going to play triple Chaos Angel, triple Doomsday Star, double SP Little Knight. I'm almost the extra deck is worth more than the main deck at this point in time, and that's insane to me that you're actually able to pull that off. We are citing the field spell now. Most builds have started pushing it to the side, which I don't really blame them. I see that we are citing the Full Force Virus and the Eradicator. Post side decking, you'll have access to them, which should pretty much get you to where you need to be. But outside of that, I also like the Lord of the Heavenly Prisons in the side deck as well. Not too bad. And our last variant here is our Trap Tricks list. I see that we are playing one of the level 4 free extenders. That's kind of cute over there next to Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. That's a fire. Of course, triple Parallel Exceed. What's interesting about that is most of the modern era builds have pretty much called for 2 Parallel Exceeds, I feel like. So going to that number is fine. I see that somebody was also citing down here the Marionetter. This deck does not have a fun Unchained matchup at all. Like, actually, if you play against Unchained, you're probably going to get torn apart. It's just kind of the downside to playing Trap Tricks. But Also main decking evenlies. Outside of that, definitely interesting. It's nice to see the changes that are happening in the meta. So what do you guys think about everything? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. Peace. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.